several local celebrity moms, and we're going to wind down the show today with one of Minnesota's favorites, WCCO TV news anchor Amelia Santaniello. Hi, Amelia.
Hi, Roshini. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms and model moms out there. You know,
Happy Mother's Day to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Have you had a good Mother's Day so far?
Yes, I've had a great Mother's Day. Actually, we celebrated last night with a dinner last night. The kids and Frank cooked dinner, which was nice, and cleaned up afterwards. So that's nice.
Yeah, that is nice. No cleaning even.
Yeah, I know. It's a different kind of Mother's Day, as you know, because I've been with the kids all weekend, and I'll be with them all weekend, which is kind of nice because usually they're out doing their own thing.
Exactly. And, that's part of the reason we wanted to celebrate moms today. I mean, you are going through a lot of different kinds of things. You have 3 young adult children, yet, you and Frank are still going into work every day. And it's a skinny staff over there. I know it's down to just a few of you that are in the building every day. But what is it like kind of balancing all that also with the kids at home?
You know what? It's not as difficult for all the mothers out there who have younger kids and who are, I think that's a more difficult task, to be honest with you. We have 3 teenagers, actually not teenagers. One is 20, a sophomore in college, and the other 2 are juniors in high school. So it's a little bit easier in terms of they're pretty self-sufficient, being able to go online and do their online learning that way. I mean, we keep on top of it to make sure they're on top of their assignments and all that. But compared to, I have friends who have younger kids in school, and I think that's really tough. That's difficult trying to, do that. Just that alone, from what I understand. So
yeah, exactly. A lot of stories of the balancing act, and I give parents who have school age kids who are younger than your kids for certain, but even like those 7, 8, 9, 10-year-olds, a lot of credit for having to also be teachers at home.
100%. I think it's really difficult. The thing is, it's never been done before unless you homeschool, right? You don't understand it. And I know that we've done stories too where parents who have homeschooled, and actually teachers have said, you don't do the 5-6 hours of class a day. Do an hour and a half, or 2 hours, and kind of split it up. But I just think it's tough. It's not having done it before and then trying to do it. And then if you have several kids, you're juggling 3 different kids with different ages, So I think that's probably stressful. But like I said, for us, our kids are older, so they're pretty self-sufficient.
I'm talking with Amelia Santaniello, news anchor at WCCO TV. If you have any questions for her, give us a ring or a text, 651-989-9226. Give people a snapshot of what it's like, because you've been in the news biz for a while, and I know everyone says this is unprecedented, but what is it really like, and how is it so different when it comes to news covering?
It's unprecedented, definitely. I think it's probably the biggest story that we've covered in my news career. I think it's different because we're all going through it. We are all experiencing it. You know what I mean? Like us on the air, we're going through what everybody else is going through too. So I think that there's actually maybe a little bit of comfort in that also. People understanding that we understand what everybody is going through between the social distancing, the fear, and the uncertainty and all that. And I think that's what's different too, covering this story. We don't know what's going to happen next, right? And so we're just as curious and we're just as anxious as everybody, as the viewers out there.
Right. You're truly not just reporting, observing and then reporting. You're
No,
living it
we're living
and
it.
reporting.
Yeah. Absolutely. 100%.
All right. So we have a text question that's coming in for you. This person wants to know how you and Frank met.
We met many years ago. I'll never forget. He did mornings and I did evenings. So it's not like I watched the morning newscast, but I do remember like Caroline Lowe and several other reporters in the newsroom saying, "Hey, have you heard of this new guy that's working over at Care 11?" I hadn't, and then I started, and then CJ had written about him, and we still hadn't met, but everybody was saying that he was a really, really nice guy too. And then we used to have, I don't know if you remember this, Roshini, because it's many years ago, but we used to do a fundraiser, all the TV stations. The women, we'd have a small group from each TV station, and we put on a fundraiser to benefit a charity. And the one that we held that year was at the Calhoun Beach Club. And Frank, everybody was invited. You buy tickets, and the money would go to the charity of our choice. And he came that night. And actually, Caroline forced me to go, Caroline Lowe, so she likes to take credit for introducing us. And that's how we met.
And then the rest is history, right?
And the rest is history, yes.
I do remember those early days. I was just kind of starting my reporting career in smaller markets, and I would come home and see you when you were dating him. And, it's fun. I mean, you are unique in that you're one of probably only a few, I don't even know how many there are, husband-wife anchor teams in the country. And how do you make that work? Because you're together. I mean, even pre-pandemic, you were together all the time.
You know what, Roshini? Honestly, it was a little rough in the beginning because it's even though we're married and we have a chemistry and all that, we just have different, I guess, work personalities in a sense, and so. Also, he was coming over to a station where I had been at that point for 10 years, so I knew everybody and all that, and so he was coming over, and he had to learn everybody's name and just learn, the personalities and all that. So I was a little bit more uptight, I guess you could say, because I was afraid of what he was going to say on the air. You have to create, that was a big thing, too, is trying to find that balance, I guess. We didn't want to just hit people over the head with the fact that we're married.
Right.
And how do you go and introduce personal aspects of your life? And then I finally realized, what, even with my other co-anchors, we would talk about personal things on the air. We would mention things. So I was like, I need to let go of that, of the fact that we're married, and just treat it as I would any other relationship, with people at work. So we balance it, I think. And honestly, one of the big things is that really nobody else has my back like he does, right? In the same way with me. And we can be really honest with each other about professional things, about work things, which is kind of nice.
That is really great.
As close as I was with Don Shelby and Mark Rosen and them, they're not going to tell me things that Frank will tell me. He'll be brutally honest, So
right.
That's nice. But I will say that we do drive in separate cars, so that helps a little bit. Because I need a little bit.
That is probably good. Yeah, a little alone time. So, and you've probably been asked this before, but I don't know if I've ever asked you. If you actually are in a disagreement or an argument, is that hard to leave at home or in the car? In your own car before you go on the air?
I think working together has helped our marriage in terms of that we need to deal with it. We need to discuss it like adults, and we need to move on. Like, listen, I am one who will hold on to a grudge. I honestly, Frank likes to call me Michael Corleone because I will hold on to a grudge. And this has taught me I need to talk it out and just get over it so that we don't take that with us on the air because, as you know, Roshini, the camera doesn't lie. You can sense that.
Right.
And I'm not going to say we didn't have issues at the beginning when we started working together, but we slowly got over that. More me, not so much him, more me.
Well, at least you're being honest. This is kind of an interesting question. I don't know if you know the answer, but this listener says, I was watching some game show reruns from back in the 80s recently while watching Sale of the Century. A contestant by the name of Frank Vassalero came on. Was he on that?
He was on that.
And was he a big winner?
He was a big winner. He was a little upset, though. He didn't win the very big thing, but he did win a pool table. Which he had in his apartment back in Chicago. I didn't know him then, but yes. So it is kind of funny. You can find that on YouTube, too, I think. A couple of people reached out to him, and they asked him about that. So that's funny, yes. He was
that
on
is
Sale
funny.
of the Century.
Yeah, that is funny. Well, with a name like Frank Fasolera or Amelia Santaniello, usually there's
Yeah,
only one of each of you, right?
that's
I am
true.
talking with Amelia Santaniello from WCCO TV. In our remaining minutes, give us a text, 651-989-9226. On this Mama Palooza Mother's Day, Amelia, I have to ask you, because I do remember when you were pregnant with your first guy, Sam, and then with the twins. It's so hard to believe they're juniors in high school and a sophomore
I
in
know, isn't that
college right now.
crazy?
What?
Yeah.
It's so crazy. I can't, and you still look amazing. Like I don't know how
Oh,
you
you're
do it.
sweet.
The but what is, how would you say motherhood has changed you?
Oh, I think motherhood has changed me in terms of being more empathetic. I mean, I always was sympathetic, but I think more empathetic. I've had to be more patient. And listen, I'm not perfect. I'm still, with my kids as old as they are, I'm still learning things, trying to be a good mother. Some days are better than others. And I, more than anything, I think unconditional love, too. It teaches you about that, and for me,
Absolutely.
it's been a work in progress. I'm learning a lot of things, still learning things for my kids and being a mother.
And do you kind of appreciate your own mother more because of it?
Oh, Roshini, 100%. 100%. You realize, I think you appreciate your parents more, right? You understand what they've
Mm-hmm.
gone through, what I put them through as a kid, as a
Yeah.
teenager. Although my sister and I tell our mother, we weren't that bad. But you do. And that is the beauty of it, right? You love your parents even more when you realize the love that they had for you, and what they went through and what it means to be a parent.
Yeah, the true
100%.
unconditional love. I think that is true. And grace. I've been talking over the weeks now since we've been in this pandemic, really urging people to show each other grace, because it is
Oh,
easy to
yeah.
get sick of your neighbor or strangers in the street. What's your advice for giving people grace?
Oh, I think you have to understand. It's hard because, listen, I have found myself getting short-tempered a little bit because I don't know if it's just being staying at home. Maybe there's a little bit of irritability. This is a time like we've never gone through before, and I think as far as you have to give other people a little bit of room too. You have to step back for a moment and then count, and then realize that what, this might not be the real them that's irritating you. They're going through a rough time too. We're all going through a really difficult and different time. And I think by showing and biting your tongue or being graceful and gracious to neighbors, strangers, and all that, that's what we need. We all need right now, because it's like, listen, and you know it too, Roshini, because you're reporting on these stories all the time. I mean, we've done, I think, our stories and that's why we try to show in our newscast too, that story with heart, right? The story that shows, look at all these
Right.
people, strangers too, right? Really, most of them strangers coming together to help those in need who are alone. I mean, and that's beautiful. And you just have to remember that instead of I don't want to say hate, but the dislike or the attitude that we see a lot of too. You see so much of it on social media. And it just makes me sad because everybody's going through a rough time. This is a time where we should be kind to each other, definitely, more so than other
Yeah,
times.
conditions are not ideal. Yeah. So
No,
grace, empathy, and also just kind of having a sense of humor.
yeah, 100%. It's a different time, and I think a lot of us are, I think a lot of people are scared, uncertain, and I think, all that creates sometimes hostility in other people, and they don't maybe not even realize it, right? So I think we have to all step back
Exactly.
a moment and at times and just try to be graceful and kind.
Yeah, really great words. On a fun note, last text came in. Do you really not shovel or cut the grass like Frank says?
No, that is a joke. They like to, Chris Schaefer and Frank like to tease me about cutting the grass and shoveling. And I've shoveled. I will say that I have shoveled a couple of times, but I do the plant.
Right.
The plants and the cutting of the grass. That's the Frank job. Not that we have a huge lawn either, so It's not that difficult.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you have two, strong sons
we
and a
have
strong
3
husband,
kids.
like
Yeah.
why? Yeah. 3 kids. Yeah. I mean, why do
Exactly.
it? Why do it? All right. You can watch her Monday through Friday evenings on WCCO TV. She is Amelia Santaniello. Have a great Mother's Day. Say hello to Frank for us. And thanks so much, Amelia, for joining us today.
Thanks, Roshini. It was great catching up with you.